Podcasts! Podcasts! I can't find my podcasts!
Well, what phone do you have?
It's an Android device!
Well, every Android user I know uses the Podcast Republic app. All you do is make your favorite shows your favorites, and they get downloaded straight to your phone faster than 88 miles per hour, and it's free.
It sounds much easier than chasing psychotic killers. I'll download the Podcast Republic app on my Android phone straight away. The Podcast Republic app on the Google Play Store.
When the mega powers explode.
I'm talking about the 80s. Oh, yeah.
Great Scott!
Cream of the crop. Oh, yeah.
Mega powers, yeah!
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
We couldn't let October roll by without talking about the new Halloween film. So this is going to be a fairly spoiler-filled discussion of the new movie, although let's try to dedicate a little time up top here.
Yeah, I was going to say, up top, it was great. I loved it. Spoiler-free. It's the best Halloween sequel.
I am one half of the Mega Podcasting Powers, Trip Lano. With me, as always, is my tag team partner, a man who's always here for Warrior Queen, Laurie Strode, the Macho Man.
Andrew Lano. I don't know. I feel like it was everything I wanted the movie to be. As staying spoiler free for the moment, it was everything I wanted out of this movie.
I liked a whole lot of it. I do have some.
Oh
quibbles.
yeah, of course, quibbles.
One of the most interesting things I think is something that I didn't think of on my own, but in reading discussions about the movie and like Twitter conversations and stuff, I think is a really interesting point, and I wish I had
a couple of those too.
Yeah. So one of the things I think is coolest, and this is like a really kind of fart sniffy sounding sentence, but the movie is really about how people deal with trauma, and the sort of crux of everything that Halloween 2018 is about is Laurie Strode, 40 years after this horrible thing, it shaped her entire life. The night with Michael ruined her life.
Basically, yeah.
And she has a terrible... Yeah, so she's got a bad relationship with her kids. She's got a bad relationship with her grandchildren because of what happened to him. And the whole movie is about how people deal with trauma, which I thought was really, really interesting. And I also think that... I guess this is mild spoiler territory, but maybe not. If you think it is, I'll edit this out. Michael isn't coming after Laurie in this movie.
He is.
He's not. There's never any point where Michael attempts to find Laurie on his own at any point in the whole movie.
At the end.
After he's been delivered to her by someone else, yeah, he goes and kills her. But the whole movie is Michael just indiscriminately killing people that he comes across until other people get involved in the motion, which really rolls back to the thing we've talked about the original movie and why we appealed so much. Is like Michael in the later sequels, Michael is coming after Laurie, but in the original movie Halloween, Michael's just kind of like hunting.
Yeah, and she just happens to be there. That's true. I didn't really think about that. You're right. Also, or as Jamie Lee Curtis likes to say, it's a movie about trauma.
Is that how she says it?
I watched several video interviews with her, and there's.
I was like hardcore avoiding.
I waited as soon as
before the
2
movie.
a.m.
Okay,
I got home from the movie Halloween, and I was like, video. But there's an interview where she says the word trauma like 7 times in the minute, just as she's like describing it, and she says trauma. And after the 3rd time, I turned to my boyfriend and I was like, "Is she saying trauma really weirdly?" And he was like, "Yeah, no, 100%." I'll have to send you a link, and we can post that.
Yeah. I do have a thing that I would like to say, and I don't care if this makes me the oldest man in the history of the universe, and I'm going to say a big swear word here, so sorry, Mom. If you can't shut your fucking mouth for 2 hours, don't go to the fucking movies, you fucking assholes.
I agree.
I had a guy 2 seats down from me narrating the movie. Like... characters would do a thing and he'd be like, "Oh, this is a reference to part 2," and it's like, it wasn't like a whisper, like "Oh man, this is that scene in that movie," which I've done.
I did that during
I have
this
been
movie.
there. I have done that.
I hit my boyfriend like, "It's the pumpkin."
Yeah. You can whisper excitedly. This guy was talking in the tone of voice that I am using to talk to you right now, going, "Oh, it's that thing from part 2. Oh, they're dead. Oh, that's dead meat. Oh, it's gonna kill them." And I finally was like, please stop talking. And I had shushed this guy like 3 times to no avail. And I finally just said out loud at this voice during like a transitional moment in the movie, I was like, please stop talking. And he was like, excuse me? And I was like, we are not in your living room. Stop narrating the movie. I don't want to hear you. Be quiet, please.
I would have lost my mind.
And the guy...
I would have lost my mind.
I was so mad. And the dude shut up for like 20 minutes and went back to it. But like, if you can't shut your fucking mouth for 2 hours, don't go to the fucking movies, you asshole. I don't understand.
Or go to an
how
11
this is
a.m.
such a hard
show
thing.
where no one's there.
No, just don't go to the movies. If you cannot shut up for 2 hours and not look at your phone like brightly in front of your face, just don't go to the movies. Just stay home. Why are you ruining an experience for other people? Holy shit, it's not that hard to just sit quietly. It's just the bare minimum of human existence. It's just not doing anything.
I thought I was going to have that trouble. So, like, my movie theater experience was Movie Pass effed up, and then the theater... I'm sorry. I realized I was like, I should not... Movie... I'll name it Movie Pass, because F Movie Pass. Movie Pass...
Yeah, they're horrible.
Pass, like, shit the bed. And then the theater I was at was terrible. And so I'm, like, hungry. I had to pay out of pocket for a movie that I wasn't expecting to. And I was like, whatever, I'm super excited for this movie. And then the movie theater starts to fill up because people book their seats online so they can show up at the time of the movie starts, whatever.
Right.
And there's this, like, group of kids. I'm going to say kids. They were definitely younger than me. I'm going to guess college. And through the trailers, they were chirping to each other. And I was like, they're trailers? Okay, it's fine. It's just trailers. I would rather you didn't, but it's the trailers. And then the movie starts, and it's continuing. And I was like, all through the cold open at the asylum. And I was like, and my boyfriend was like, please don't let this be the thing that, like, you murder kids.
You have to say something.
And
you have to say something.
And I was like, if it continues, and it stopped once the credits happened. And I was like, okay, good. Because I was like, I was going to be like, you all will die tonight if you don't stop.
Yeah. Yeah. I told this story on this podcast before, but like when that happened to me during it, I just turned around and I was like, you have to stop talking. You have to stop talking right now. And they were like, they were young enough and I was old enough that it was like adult using position of authority voice, and it worked. But this dude was my age. He was like a doofus horror nerd in a horror nerd t-shirt. And I was like, of all the people who should have respect for the thing that is happening now, it should be you. It should be you,
They're
dingus.
finally giving us a good one.
So mad.
You shut your stupid mouth, nerd.
That's what I wanted to say. I was like, I saw this movie when I was like 14 years old, and I've seen every sequel, and they're all worse than the last, basically. I've been waiting my whole life for a good sequel to this movie, and it's happening right now in front of you, and you're ruining it. You're actively ruining it, you chud. You piece of crap. Stop talking.
Chud.
It was unfathomable. It was like a dude and his best bro and what looked like their mother, and he spent the whole time like oh, it's the scene from that movie, and it's like, hey bud, everybody knows that because we're all big fat dorks here at the 7 p.m. advanced showing of this movie. Everybody knows what you're saying is true because we're at the dork show. This is the show for dorks. I went by myself. I genuinely was like, my girlfriend was like kind of ambivalent, and I was like, you don't understand. We have a lot of things going on this month. I have 2 days in which to see this movie, and it's going to be opening night. So either you can come or you're not coming, but it's going to be the 7 p.m. showing where I work. That is when I'm going to see this movie. And she was like, you should just go by yourself. And I was like, that's fine. I'm not even upset. I need to see this movie as soon as possible. I'm very excited for it.
I was bummed I couldn't see it a week ahead of time because theaters near me did like one night only advanced screenings on a Wednesday.
Oh man, I'd have been all over that.
So spoiler-free territory done. Yes. The movie was great. Shut the hell up.
I will say shut up at the movies for sure. I would say like this is a strong recommend for me if you like Halloween movies, if you like slasher movies, if you're into female empowerment. There's one scene that is like very on-screen gross. For the most part, it's not very gross on screen throughout the movie. If you're like a squeamish person. Yeah. I mean, there is some gore and there's definitely some violence, but a lot of stuff happens off screen, which I actually kind of appreciated. But yeah, this is a strong recommend for me. It's a really great movie. It's super, super faithful to the franchise. And even though it doesn't acknowledge the continuity of anything except the first movie, there's tons of like little tiny references that people
apparently
will get.
every sequel was referenced in some way.
Yeah, I would buy that. I didn't catch all of them. I caught a lot of
Yeah, I
them,
was like,
but
there's
I
a
would
few.
buy that.
I'm aware.
To be quite honest with you, I'm not sure references to like 4 and 6 would be things like if it was specifically 4 and 6. I'm not sure there's anything I would notice other than like the Thorn trilogy reference that I kind of
Yeah, I think someone at one point says something about a mark on Michael's soul, and it was very clearly like
that's exactly it.
the thorn thing that is not a thing right now.
Right. So yeah, from this point forward, spoiler territory abounds. So you've been warned. You should turn this off if you haven't listened to it and you plan to. Thank you for listening to the show. We're gonna start spoiling this.
We'll catch up with you in a little bit when you come back from the movie today.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I will say a weird thing. So like, Jamie Lee Curtis, amazing, my queen, my warrior queen. But then I sat and the next day I was like thinking about, oh, she was so good in this movie, Laurie Strode, da 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 da, and I was like,
yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis also was in Christmas with the Cranks. So like my warrior queen, like PTSD gun survivor Laurie Strode also was with Tim Allen and skipping Christmas. And like it's always weird to think of actor journeys. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah. Well, she hates horror movies, so it doesn't surprise me she would pick a different holiday for the big one there.
Her Arbor Day movie.
I will say, yes. Secretary's Day, not much better. I liked the little kid comedy bits.
Oh,
like I thought
with
that
the
whole
babysitter's
sequence
kid?
with that kid. The little kid she's babysitting and Michael in the closet and like send the boyfriend up there.
He was
sucks.
like one of the best parts of this
all
movie
that
for
stuff.
me, and the whole movie is great.
Yeah, I love that kid. But I will say there was like just a little bit too much like funny dialogue bits. Just like a time, like the conversation with the cops in the car talking about banh mi and then how he got them, and like the other cop doesn't eat food except peanut butter and jelly, so he got him a peanut butter and jelly on the thing. Like that could have been one line, like, hey, I know that you won't eat my gourmet sandwiches, but I had them make a special peanut butter and jelly one for you. And the guy being like, it's like 2 minutes of back and forth tete-a-tete about banh mi sandwiches. And I just was like, can we get back to the movie now? Like, I get it. It's like you're diffusing the tension, but can we get back to the movie now? Yeah. Like, things are happening.
Like that conversation should have been 2 security guards not facing the monitors, so that your attention is on like Laurie being someone being chased by Michael, and they're having a banal conversation, but with nothing else to look at. It just, I agree that it kind of halted things a little bit.
Yeah, if the sequence that was happening outside that car had been happening like through the the rear window of the car, and Michael was like choking someone to death and they weren't noticing it, I think that would have been awesome. But yeah, I was like, all right, get to the damn point already. I really liked the whole daughter-mom dynamic, but the part where she like got on board for the last 5 minutes, I felt like was a little
I was
nowhere.
Super okay. I don't know, like her pulling a Catwoman and like pretending to cry and be weak so that Michael would think she was.
No, that part was dope. I mean the part where she like knew how to spring the bolts across and do all those things. It was like
12 years of ingrained in your head. It doesn't go away.
Yeah, it was a little bit like, okay, we got to hurry up here to me. A little tiny bit. Again, minor quibble. I really
in my headcanon, it was Laurie's long con. And she was like, look, Michael's going to get out. So I want to, like, we have to, like, everyone has to know that we don't talk anymore. So that's what the kayfabe is going to be. And so they created a story where, like, they don't talk anymore. But secretly she was still training and still honing her skills.
Can I pitch a tiny tweak to the movie to see how you feel about it?
Always.
Laurie waits for the bus with Michael and the other passengers, and the reason why the bus crashes is Laurie.
I would have been okay with that, just so like she then like gets on the bus, knocks out the driver, knocks out the doctor with the butt of her shotgun, and just like systematically shoots Michael in the head. Movie over. Roll credits.
Yeah, and like obviously he overpowers her and escapes, and that becomes the movie is like her chasing him down. But like I feel like the movie is more interesting if Laurie is the reason that he got out and not just like whatever it was, because they don't explain what happened on the bus.
It's implied that Dr. Noomis, was the reason.
Yes, agreed, and very much like not like that is what they want you to believe happened for sure. They don't ever explain it fully, but I feel like Laurie, you know, taking the screw top off of one of the tires so that it like disinflates, and then the bus has like, you know, suddenly the tire's out of air, and then she I don't know. I just feel like I like the movie a little bit better if she's a little more active there, but minor quibble.
See, I don't know. I don't know, because it feels like Laurie is so prepared that feels a little too reckless for the Laurie that they established in the movie.
Right, but wouldn't it be like even better to like go get him?
I agree. I feel like I'm surprised this Laurie didn't follow the bus.
Right, that's what I thought she was going to be doing. So I was confused when she didn't do that, but that's minor. I will say, speaking about like the house stuff, which I thought was like mostly cool, there was a few things in there where I was like, well, this is just because it's a movie.
Like what?
And like, I know watching a movie, but like, why is there a room full of mannequins upstairs?
Because that's her bedroom, and that's where she keeps all her shooting range stuff.
She keeps all of her loose mannequins in her bedroom. The woman who had a trauma where a man entered her home sleeps in a room full of man-shaped items.
She
Come
also
on.
sleeps in a bedroom that's an exact replica of the ending.
I know!
Like, that is the coolest thing to me.
Yes, it was the exact bedroom. But like, I just the mannequin storage, I lost me a little bit being in that room. Like, it just made that scene feel a little bit draggy. And the other thing I didn't understand was, knowing what we eventually learn about what the plan is for Michael, why isn't the plan like as soon as he's in the house, she hits one button and the whole house is locked in?
I think
Why is it like individual rooms that you have to clear and like lock in, and it just
because the idea is that she's getting him to the basement cellar.
But she didn't have to. The whole house was wired for
Yeah,
flames.
but he's now trapped. Like, the idea was that he was stuck down there.
But he would have been trapped in any of the bedrooms. And he would have been, like, you could have just made the whole house a trap. Like, just...
Well, yes, but she didn't... It wasn't like she went down the hallway just indiscriminately shutting the things. She wanted to lead him...
No, she did the most dangerous thing possible, which is, like, check the room first, instead of just, like, hitting the button and then being like, hey, Michael, and just making sure he was in there.
I mean,
I feel like the house sequence, while totally cool, was like, wait a minute. She knew he was coming in the front door, so just lead him to the back door, hop outside, hit the close the house down button, and then turn it on fire. Like, and just stand in the backyard and watch him thrash around in there.
But she wanted to see it happen.
I still think she could have seen it happen if she had done my thing. Because she didn't see it happen. They go outside.
But
they run away.
watch him for a good long while.
Except they don't, because he doesn't actually get shown burning.
He's shown standing at the stairs, staring up, surrounded in flames.
And then apparently in the credits, there's like, I left because I had to pee.
Oh, it's just
and
heavy
because I was
breathing.
afraid
There's
that
nothing
guy,
real.
Yeah. Michael breathing.
Yeah, but it's not like, you know, Samuel L. Jackson comes out and it's like, I want to talk to you at the Avengers Initiative. It's just...
Right. I will say I wanted Laurie to die.
I did not. And once we got to the third act of the movie, I started to get very concerned Laurie was going to die. And so every time she did anything, I was like curled up in my boyfriend's lap, like, oh no, Laurie, please. Don't you hurt
I have
Laurie.
a real strong belief that the heroes are supposed to die killing the villains. Like
a Quint.
It's like a yin and yang thing to me, right? Like the ultimate good and the ultimate evil should both be wiped out at the same time, or the ultimate good would eventually become corrupt and the cycle begins anew. Like, I think that Harry Potter and Voldemort should have died simultaneously at the end of the book. And that's what she wrote, and then she copped out on it, where Harry, like, goes to the waiting station, and then, like, Dumbledore brings his soul back or whatever. And I get it. It's, like, a book for children and stuff.
Not by the end.
I think that book...
I feel like once you hit book 5 or 6, it stops being a book series for children.
Oh, wholeheartedly. I mean, I think I was exactly the same age as Harry Potter as he progressed through the books.
I think...
Like 1997 I was 10. Yeah, so I was like almost exactly the right age to progress through the books with Harry Potter in universe aging. But I just feel like the moment where Michael had, I can't remember the character's name.
Allison.
Judy Greer.
Karen.
Yeah. She had her by the ankle. Michael had her by the ankle. I wanted Laurie to just like tackle Michael into the basement and then be like, no! And then like the thing happens and they're trapped down there together. And she's like, we're going out now, pal.
I can see that. That is the only version of that I would have accepted.
Yeah, I wanted her to die saving the day, not just die. I'm not an idiot. Like I wanted her to make a hero sacrifice. I was like, part of this movie I was hoping to see is how they were going to like take out Laurie and Michael together, because the thing I want most of all is not
I
another
absolutely
movie.
no. I don't want to move. Don't make another one. Don't make another movie.
Yeah.
And they're going to, because this
Right.
R-rated horror movie
Oh, of
just
course.
made like more money than all of the sequels combined. Like,
Basically $80 million.
yeah, and like they're going to, because that's just
Of
what
course,
they do.
of course.
And I think for me, the only one I would accept would be a midquel. So like show me the stuff that in between 40 years, so that this can be the end of the story. Like, Michael died in the fire, Laurie and her daughter and her granddaughter went off into the sunset. Like, that can be the end of the story, so that I can ignore all that bullshit you throw in the middle. And in my brain, in my tiny little lizard brain, it's Halloween 1978, Halloween 2018, and that's it.
Yeah. But Michael wouldn't be in that movie, so they wouldn't do that.
No, like if they did like Michael had there was a breakout, because Laurie Strode's not coming back. Like, there's no way Jamie Lee Curtis is coming back for another movie.
Right.
So I
right.
think it's going to be
And
like there was a secret breakout that Dr. Ahab tried to cover up.
I mean, that's a possibility, but what I think is much more likely is going to happen is like there's a secret exit that Michael walked out of.
Ugh.
I mean, I just know it's going to be something. And that said, Blumhouse makes quality movies, and they do a fabulous job with horror. So maybe I'll be wrong, and I would love to be wrong. But it would be so un-Hollywood for a movie that cost $10 million and then grossed 80 in its opening weekend to not get an instant sequel.
Well, they've already talked about it, because apparently they were going to film back to back a 1 and a 2, but then they were like it was gonna sort of be a Halloween 1, Halloween 2 situation where there was a continuation of the story.
Yeah.
But they were like, what if everyone hates it? Let's wait. Which I'm
Yeah,
glad
I'm sure
that foresight tells me some good things about this company, that they were just like, hold up, people might hate this. Let's not be stuck with another movie that like we know no one's gonna like.
Right. And apparently LeBron James and the guy who wrote the original Friday the 13th, LeBron James has a entertainment production company. LeBron James's company, it's not like LeBron himself.
I was like, LeBron wrote a
I'm
movie?
sure he's involved in some capacity, but LeBron just owns the company. I don't know how. I'm assuming day-to-day operations of his entertainment venture are not handled by LeBron.
Probably not.
But his company is working with the guy who just recently won the rights to the Friday the 13th name.
Oh, really?
And they're apparently working on a sequel. Although there's some complications there, because despite him owning the name, there's a real question about who owns the rights to Jason Voorhees. Because in the first movie, Jason Voorhees is basically not in it.
As we learned in Scream, Jason's mother, Mrs. Voorhees, Jason didn't appear till the sequel.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see what comes from that. But I am almost positive this will lead to at least a Jason movie, if not a Jason and a Freddy movie. And the question will just be how much Robert Englund they can get in there.
I feel like maybe it would be more of a physical, like, how much can Robert Englund physically do at this point?
But here's the thing, and I heard this before, and I heard people talking about it. Why would he be doing the stunts?
No, I'm not saying the stunts, but just like that's a lot of makeup and a lot of like wear and tear on you as a person. And how old is he now at this point? Like,
I mean, he's easily in his 60s or 70s. He's an old
Yeah.
dude. But I just like I heard him pitch a sequel idea.
I love
where
the sequel idea.
Yeah, this is, I thought, really brilliant, where it's very Freddy-like the whole movie, but you never actually see Freddy, and then at the end there's like an extended cameo of Freddy, like, and you realize the whole time it was Freddy shape-shifting, which is something we know he can do. I thought that was very
Yeah, it
interesting.
was like every Freddy entity has, the stripes, has a striped shirt of some kind. Maybe it's a cardigan, maybe it's a sweater, maybe, and then they have a hat of some kind and some kind of
Right.
knifey glove thing, so that when the kids are telling the story to each other, they're like, it was this, sexy girl in a striped crop top, and he's like, no, it was like
Right.
a big farmer dude in a green and red striped flannel, and like, oh well, it couldn't have been the
Right.
same. Like, that would cut out all of that stuff.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting. I would be very curious to see that version of it, although, it could be terrible. Who knows? But yeah, I think that would be cool, and I like Robert Englund. I think, obviously,
He seems
he's
like the coolest
one everybody
hippie.
assumes is Freddy. Yeah. Yeah, he's on an episode of The Goldbergs tomorrow. Well, tomorrow will have been a week ago probably when this goes up, but I'm curious to see what that looks like, because he did the full makeup and
Oh,
everything
damn.
again. But so, yeah, the other little tiny thing with Halloween is I thought it took a little while to get going.
To really rear up. You mean?
Yeah, like I feel like there was like a little bit of wheel spinning, a lot of conversation about like, oh, crazy old Laurie Strode, and like, your grandmother's a coot, and all that stuff. And it paid off in the end, but at the time that I was watching it in the moment, I was like, man, this feels like a lot of wheel spinning before we're getting to anything happening.
Yeah, and I don't know, it annoyed me that like Laurie Strode had her 3 friends murdered on Halloween night, and then had to fend for her life. And when she's like, look, you don't something bad is going to happen because it happened to me 40 years ago. People are just like, you're crazy. Like, I feel like I would be listening to Laurie Strode.
Here's the thing, though. Would you? After 40 years? The dude's been locked up for 40 years. Like, it seems insane that he would eventually break out.
I don't know. I mean,
I mean, they're both 60 years old. Like, she's in a ballpark of 60 years old in this movie. The character, she's a high school senior.
Yeah, she's and approaching 60. And Michael Myers is 61, 62.
Right, and it's like, why are you even afraid of him? A crazy old man? Like, I could see her daughter being like, "Oh my God, get over it!" Like, I can totally see that being a normal human reaction to the panic, because it's like, hey, he's like a billion now. Like, he's been in an institution his whole life. No, he's not coming out to kill you. Like, that's crazy. What are you thinking?
I would have liked an implication that she had cried wolf once or twice. And
right. Well, I thought there was the implication that she cried wolf a bunch of times. I very much got that, like, her daughter was exasperated at the fact that she, like, is still on edge after, like, all they've been through. Is like, clearly some false alarm.
See, that's not what that would make sense. That's not what I read out of that. But I meant, like, in the town, like, oh, it's like with the time, 6 years ago, Michael Myers was coming back and then nothing happened. Like, kind of a Zork thing.
Right. Yeah. This is Zork.
Right? Isn't that what it, yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. It was fun.
I was making sure I said the right thing.
You
I
did.
think that would have lent itself more to people not believing Laurie right away. I also was listening to a podcast talk about the movie, and again, it was a point that I wish I had thought of watching the movie, but I was like, again, I watched this movie, 12 hours ago. I'll watch it a second time, and these things will pick up. But it was a really interesting look into the way we treat, like, men versus women, and that, like, the podcasters, also, they were podcasters. You couldn't have just, like, made them, like, if you're gonna make them podcasters, they have to be, like, My Favorite Murder level. Like, you have to pretend like they're an established podcast.
I think that's what they were going for, but it was like a serious true crime show, not like a My Favorite Murder, like, ha ha ha, isn't this so funny?
No, but
like,
I mean,
a real.
I mean, like, the implication wasn't that they were a famous, like, household name.
Oh no,
podcast.
They totally talk about how their previous season was this, like, enormous hit, and for a follow up, they're going. I got the impression they were trying to do Serial. That they were like, this is Serial, and this is Serial season 2, basically.
I guess. I don't know. I was hoping for, like, it would have read more for me if it had been like, oh, I'm so-and-so from Serial, the #1 podcast on iTunes or whatever.
Right, but then they have to clear the rights to Serial.
I don't mean literally Serial, but, like, if it had been like, oh, we're from the podcast da-da-da, we're like if someone's like, what? Like, the #1 rated podcast on da-da-da.
Here's a serious question
Yes.
for you. Do you think your average person knows what the #1 rated podcast is in the
No.
world? I'm just like, I that's what I was thinking about.
I wanted something in the world that says, like, they're a famous podcast.
Yeah.
Because I was like, it seems like they're like you and me level podcasts. Like, people listen to them. They've got a nice little audience going, but they didn't seem like they were.
See, I totally did. I totally disagree. Like, we would never have $3,000 to throw around.
I mean, we would, but we wouldn't have gotten it. It's not like it was Patreon money. It was just
That's what but I think the implication is, like, they're a successful enough podcast that they have a budget to pay this woman.
I guess. Or if there had been a line about, like, we didn't pay so-and-so a dime for his story. Like, something that's... I wanted a little more clarity on that.
I think this movie somebody who wrote this movie just, like, really hates podcasts.
Well,
Danny McBride or David Gordon Green are like, F that. Visual medium, baby. We're movie guys. F this audio medium.
That's true. I don't remember what I was saying about the podcasters now. Oh, so the way that, like, they were treating Michael Myers, who has not spoken a word, and is a literal serial killer, they were like, we want to understand him and really humanize his journey. And then the way they treat Laurie Strode, the actual human who does speak and was affected by this incident, they're like, well, don't you should want to meet him and speak with him and really understand him. And it's like, why? Because she's a woman. She has to like want to understand this, and as opposed to like, oh, well, he's clearly there's something right about him. Like there's no redeeming qualities about Michael Myers, but they're like, there's something hidden deep inside that. I was like, that's a really interesting point.
Yeah, I just thought the whole general premise of their suggestion was stupid. Like, the idea that a person who was a near victim would go want to hang out with the person who murdered their friends. Just like forget, like, what you're saying is an absolutely valid point. But just, like, take it away from murder. It's like, oh, the guy who stole your wallet and assaulted you. Like, my girlfriend's backpack got stolen out of the car, like, while we were in it. I wouldn't want to have a sit down with the person who stole her backpack. I'm just mad at that person for aggrieving me. And that was, like, the slightest aggrievance that could happen. Yeah. Like, this dude murdered her friends. Why would she ever want to talk to him? It's, like, a completely normal, valid thing to think.
Yeah, absolutely not. Whatever happened to Allison's boyfriend? Did he just, like, fuck off out of the movie?
Yeah, he totally takes an Uber out.
Okay, because I was like, he didn't die, right? Like, there was no, because in any other movie, it would have been, he got a death scene.
I think his whole purpose was to get her phone broken.
That makes sense.
Like, it seemed like the whole point of that character was to lead up to she needed her phone and doesn't have it. And I was, like, a little bit annoyed at that, if I'm being honest with you.
I mean, I'd rather that than, like, oh, I dropped my phone in the gutter. You know what I mean?
But that would, I guess, and it was, I also feel like I missed a thread. It might have been while I was yelling at that dingus who was sitting next to me, but, like, what was the deal with her being, like, super extremely anti-drinking and drug? Was that just, like, supposed to be Laurie taught her and it seeped in there? Because they didn't explain that at all, and Laurie is basically an alcoholic in this movie, so I think it was just supposed to be
Laurie 2.0, that, like, she's
just a goody
two-shoes. She's the goody girl, yeah.
That makes sense.
Because I enjoyed Allison, but I didn't care for her same way I did for Laurie Strode in the original. I was far more interested in Judy Greer and Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie.
Yeah, she didn't get a lot of time to really establish who she was, and also it's like I paid for this ticket to hang out with Laurie Strode. Like, it's nice that she has a granddaughter, but I really just want to hang out with Laurie Strode.
Mm-hmm. One of the Easter eggs that I heard about, apparently, so her boyfriend's dad, Lonnie, is one of the bullies from the original Halloween.
Yes.
And I was like, that's so great.
No, Lonnie's the guy who, well, he might be a bully, but Lonnie's the guy who goes up to the house and Loomis is like, Lonnie, get your ass out of there.
He bullied Tommy and, like, tripped him over the pumpkin.
I didn't recognize that it was the same character.
So apparently Danielle Harris.
Also, Judy Greer and the guy who played her husband are, like, way, way, way too far apart in age to be playing a married couple. I'm sorry. And also, a disproportionate... He looks like
a poor man's Clint Howard. And that's not like a luxury item.
I think he's the dude who played Frank Sinatra in Vegas Vacation.
Oh, that, like, I'm not 100% one-off scene that happened.
Yes, he was also in Seinfeld episode, I want to say, but the actor's name is Ray Huss, and he was born in '66. Judy Greer IRL was born in,
I guess, come on, like internet. 60, 64,
75.
Oh wow, I was way off.
Yeah, I was like, this dude is at least a decade older than her, and he's also okay. I have a real Judy Greer beef, and I'm gonna.
You don't like Judy Greer?
I've tweeted about this before. No, I love Judy Greer, and Hollywood just takes big steaming dumps on her all the time. She was just in a movie on Netflix, and the age gap between her and the actor playing her son is the same distance between Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence, who play a couple like every 3 weeks in a movie. And it's like, really? She's playing this kid's mom? Like, the reverse of this, they had all the sex. They have just all the sex all over the ship. And it's like, you know what? Y'all can keep it. This is so obscene. She's a very attractive woman. She's 43 years old. Like, it's believable that she could have an age-appropriate, sexy husband.
Where's my Toni Collette Adam Scott?
Exactly. Same thing with Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt. They're 11 years apart. And it's like, get out of here with this. Get out of here with this, you monsters.
Although they don't look at 11 years. Anyways, I was
My point stands.
I was kind of scared that they were going to Jurassic World Judy Greer in this movie. Like, she was
so?
going to be in the beginning, and then, like, bye for the movie.
Oh, it's just like
It
bounce
was going to be
out.
like the parents in Hocus Pocus. I'm like, I'm going to a Halloween party tonight. I'll be back later. And then, like, it's all about Allison and her, the granddaughter and Lori. But no, she was a major player, and I was happy about that.
Are you ready to have your mind blown?
Sure.
Not only was Toby Huss is the name of the actor. I think I said Ray something
Ray is
before.
his character name.
The character name, yes. Not only was Toby Huss Frank Sinatra in Vegas Vacation, uncredited, so kudos to the guy you do a podcast with. He was also Artie on The Adventures of Pete and Pete,
Oh, shit!
the strongest man in the world.
I forgot about that show sometimes.
But here's my beef. He is way not attractive enough to be dating Judy Greer and siring
be
a child
married
with
to
her. And
Judy
also
Greer.
they
Married
what?
to Judy Greer. They're not dating.
Yes.
It's her husband.
Yes. Also, well, no, that's because I started talking, my brain got ahead. They're allegedly supposed to have been like together since high school. Like they both went to high school in this town.
Oh, right.
So either he's a real effing creeper who went to, because like he palled around with Lonnie, which means he's significantly older than her in the movie.
Not necessarily. At least I would.
He said that
Oh.
he and Lonnie used to go drinking in the woods and stuff, which means he and Lonnie are of a similar age, which means he's closer in age to Lori in the
No,
movie
because they're.
than
How old do you think Tommy Doyle's what? Like 10?
8, 10 at tops. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I guess that math does check out.
So like I was the whole movie, like every time they were on screen, and honestly he's a fine actor, like he was good in the part and I liked him, but the entire time they were on screen together I was just like, why is she dating this old ass man?
Yeah, it was a weird choice. I did love Laurie Strode just waving a gun, like broke into their house,
Yep.
pulling like secret drills, like boom, you're dead. And then pulling out a real gun and just waving a real gun
Yes.
around their house and pointing it at her husband.
Who's totally bananas. She's just totally pants on head crazy.
I loved it so much. Do you think Lori and the sheriff guy dated? Like he's one of her ex-husbands? Because I got that feeling.
I don't know about ex-husband, but it wouldn't have shocked me to learn that they had some history in a romantic way. They definitely have a ton of history where like he immediately like even after she gun bashes him, she hits him
That's
with
right.
a
She
butt of the
pistol
gun.
whips him.
Like yeah, thank you. I couldn't think of the word. Even after she pistol whips him, he's like, "Damn it, Lori!" And it's not like you're under arrest. It's like
Again.
immediately like same. Yeah. It's immediately like same team. Let's go. Like something's like he immediately trusts her. He knows that she's not insane, and I liked that they did that. But you're right. They definitely have a history. I don't know if it's necessarily romantic, but there's definitely a history with those two characters because obviously, like they went through that trauma together.
I thought it was a little. I honestly thought it was a little weird that Lori had a kid at all, based on all of her trauma. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine she at some point tries to live a normal life, and I thought it was interesting that the just husband character was
Yeah,
non-existent.
they were like, oh, she's had 2 failed marriages and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I did not think this movie was gonna have the guts to kill that little gay boy.
Really? I knew that kid was dead meat as soon as he tried to kiss her.
No, not that one. The one with his dad on the hunting trip.
Oh, that child. How do you know that child is gay? He was like, because he was a
Hey,
dancer.
I didn't want to go
hunting.
hunting with you, Dad. I wanted to go to my dance class. And his dad was like
guess.
insistent that they go hunting instead of dance class. It felt to me that's classic
Yeah,
movie language
I guess.
of dad wants to, butch up his son.
Yeah, you're probably right. I forgot about that line of dialogue until you meant, like, as soon as it jogged my memory. I had forgotten that they were talking about that in the car.
Yeah, this was one of a few, because there's very few characters that I feel like make dumb decisions in this movie. Like a lot of them seem to be pretty smart. This was one of the dumb decisions that I was like, why? What are we doing?
I would argue that Lori makes a bunch of dumb decisions in the house, but I'll give you
Well,
that.
yeah, but in the kayfabe of the movie and what she's created,
Yes.
she made the smart decisions
I
based
just-
on what she was doing.
The parts where, like, I felt so, like, contrived horror movie nonsense to me when she was, like, clearing the room and then shutting the gate on her way out. It just felt like a good way to get killed.
I guess.
I also didn't like her getting grabbed through the door.
Why?
Because it was like, why would she be dumb enough to put her face up to the door like that? She knows the front door has been compromised because Ray the dingus just got murdered out there.
But then she shut and locked it.
Right, but then she puts her head close enough to it that he can just like reach through it Freddy Krueger style and grab her face. It was stupid.
I guess. But that kid got his, because I thought he was gonna like pop up in the back seat and the kid was gonna like scramble out of the car and just be like left on the side of the road ambiguously. But Michael straight up snaps this kid's neck, and I was not expecting it.
Yeah, it was pretty gnarly. There's the scene where he stomps the doctor's head like a grape was pretty gnarly.
I was not expecting that.
No. I was pretty shocked that they went that route. Actually,
Yeah. And the doctor, I mean, I could tell he was gonna be trouble, like as soon as he was on screen, because they like contoured his face to be angry and severe, and I was like, guys, can we ease up on this like heavy brow line we gave this old man? And then he literally pulled out his little pen turned into a harpoon, because he's literally Captain Ahab. It didn't look. It literally looked like a harpoon.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah.
I was like, he's straight up just Ahab wearing the whale suit. Like, and I liked that Allison was smart enough to, like, try and trick the doctor and be like, hey, Michael said something to me, because I know that'll get you wet, doctor, that Michael spoke. I'll tell you what he said if you let me out of this goddamn car.
Yeah, I thought that whole thing of, like, I just want to hear him talk.
Everybody
like,
was
I
obsessed
didn't
with
get
hearing
it.
Michael talk.
Yeah, I didn't get it. And it was like, I felt like it was like sort of a finger to the fanboy crowd who wants that, and them being like, no, we're not going to do that. That goes against the whole movie. But I didn't really get it at all.
Yeah, it was a weird choice. I also, one of the kills, I enjoyed all the kills, because I thought they were all really interesting and fun. Not fun necessarily, but like interesting to watch, because you think Michael's gonna kill a baby at one point. Like, you straight up think Michael's gonna murder a baby.
I was literally sitting in the theater going, like, in my head, by the way, unlike this prick, just to be clear, like, please don't kill that child. Please don't kill that infant. Please don't kill that infant. Please don't make me watch him kill an infant. Please don't make me watch him kill an infant. And then he kind of like moves right past it, which a lot of real dorky Dorkisons on Twitter were like, Michael Myers is supposed to be indiscriminate, and like, hey buddy, he walks by a lot of people and doesn't kill them in the first movie,
and he walks all the way through this town on Halloween. He doesn't just like start stabbing trick-or-treaters as he walks down the street.
He's not like a whirling dervish of knives. Like
the Tasmanian devil. Cause like, you straight up think he's gonna murder this baby, because we watched him kill a like 10-year-old, 12-year-old kid, and it was like, okay, I guess this is, buckle up everyone, this is the movie we paid for. And then that doesn't happen.
Because it was pretty gnarly, like the hammer kill right before that.
And then the one kill that I didn't care for was the pumpkin head kill. That, like, you and I had, when we watched the first trailer, they show it briefly, that someone's got their head carved like a jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah.
And I think the point that we were texting each other still stands, that to me, that him, I guess, removing the skull from a person's head and like carving the eyes.
I thought he like just peeled his face off, but it was gross either way.
It looked like it required a level of finesse and dexterity that Michael didn't exhibit anywhere else in the movie.
Right. It also was the only time he had access to a scalpel, so maybe he was just getting creative, but I also agree with you. It just felt wrong. But again, the teeth thing felt kind of wrong to me earlier in the movie, too.
But to me, that you texted me when the trailer dropped and we furiously spoke for days on end about it. If you kill someone and their teeth fall out of their mouth while you curb stomp their head into a thing.
Right. Because that's what he does later. You kind of see that's basically what he did.
If you have teeth, use them. They're there. Make a nice necklace or a festive centerpiece. Pinterest.
Yeah.
I love that there were scenes in the beginning where you just saw Michael in the background, out of focus, doing like walking, killing a guy. It was so great.
They did it to kind of hide his maskless face, which I thought was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Also, along the same lines, I thought the whole like the podcasters have his mask and he wants his mask back thing was like weird.
A bit much, yeah.
Like just like a weird thing and I feel like the doctor could have put that element in much more logically than them. Like the doctor could have claimed he wanted it for therapy or something. I don't know. I just found that odd.
Yeah, but I think they wanted to kill the podcasters here at the Halloween 4, gas station.
Yeah.
Because somehow he knows where the mask is, which I guess is kind of a plot question mark.
Yeah, I guess, he knows that guy has it. Beyond that, I guess, I don't know. That whole thing seemed kind of odd to me, but that, again, minor quibbles. Like, I really enjoyed the movie. We're just kind of nitpicking stuff here. I will say it was quite funny editing our Halloween 5 podcast after having watched it, because, and I'm sorry for tooting my own horn here, but I did say this in that episode, so I'm going to say it again. The whole sequence at the end of that movie where Loomis captures Michael in the net of chains, I basically described the end of this movie.
You did.
Where it was like lock him in a cage and then set the house on fire. I think I said blow it up with dynamite, but same point. I thought it was I had forgotten that I had made that riff, and then I was editing it. I was like, oh yeah, I basically predicted the end of that movie.
Did. But I let each of the 3 women gets a chance to stand up to Michael, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Even the granddaughter who has no training, her instincts kicked in, and she was like, "I know what to do." Stab.
Right. Yeah, I mean, a character finally doing a smart thing that you beg them for is a nice change of pace in any horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Laurie's final girl house of horrors. That's like, I have floodlights. I have gates like you find in a shopping mall. I have a secret hideaway basement. I have security cameras everywhere. I have a gun range and a gun locker.
Apparently the original ending of the movie, this was reshot. Apparently the original ending was basically they Kate trap him in a room and just shoot him and beat him down to death, the 3 women, and then leave him there, which I thought was very unsatisfying. Even if you disregard the fact that he's this super powered monster, it's that's not enough. You got to cut him into pieces if you're going to do that.
Yeah.
And then scatter those pieces to the far oceans.
You cut the legs and the arms and the head off, and you burn each part separately, and then you scatter each of those ashes separately into different places. Mix it into
exactly.
a paint it onto a children's hospital. Do something to cancel out this evil.
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty much all I have as far as things I wanted to bring up and talk to you about. There are a few quibbles that I was curious if they bothered you.
I'm very happy that Jamie Lee Curtis came back for this, and I'm happy that I got a good Halloween sequel, because I know it's gonna start all over. The sequence is starting again, and we're probably gonna get an endless parade of terrible Halloween movies, because they have to kill Laurie or recast Laurie, and neither one of those is satisfactory.
Reject recasting Laurie. I think that would be a huge problem.
Unless, you know what, the only other Laurie I would accept is if they were it's Sigourney Weaver now in the same wig. I would be.
Her wig was pretty good in this movie, comparatively speaking.
Because I for the first part of the movie, I was like, wow, Jamie Lee Curtis grew her hair out for this movie. That's a bold move. And then I saw her in interviews. I was like, no, it was a wig. It was a good wig.
Yeah, no.
But can you imagine Ellen Ripley in the same wig?
Yeah, I mean,
it's not ideal, but the only other woman I would accept would be Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, I mean that would be fine. I hope they don't do that, and I hope they don't make any more Halloween movies. Just don't do it. Just let it go. Put it on the shelf.
You did the impossible. I almost said impossible. You did the impossible, and made a coherent, solid sequel to this movie that has never had a good sequel.
Trying for 4 decades.
5. Oh, I guess 4,
40 years.
Fair. Because to make a sequel, they're going to kill Laurie off screen, like they did in Halloween 4, and be like, "Oh, Laurie died in a car crash," because that's the most unsatisfactory ending for that character. You just gave us the fan service of she's a gun-toting pants on head crazy lady. Let her survive enough.
Right. If she's not dying on screen, she shouldn't be dying.
Exactly.
Point blank. Period. Yeah, I'm in agreement.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't be mad if they did some similar style sequels to like Nightmare and stuff. But the problem is those movies just had reboots like 10 years ago and they weren't very good. So like,
Right.
meh.
Right.
We both loved it. It was the movie I was hoping it would be.
It was almost the movie I wanted it to be, but that's
So
okay.
what
I didn't need
exactly
it to
would
be
you
exactly what I
have
wanted.
put in?
I wanted Lori to die. I wanted the loop, close the loop. Yin and yang. Goodbye both. Like that's how that story is supposed to end. Like if you're building her up as the ultimate warrior to defeat the evil, the ultimate glory is the heroic sacrifice.
Well, every time they try to kill Loomis, they just retconned it the next movie. So I mean,
They both have to die, and you have to put the period on the last sentence and close the book.
yeah. Well, that's the problem. This book won't close.
Like, if you're making art for the sake of making art and not money, the good artistic ending is like Warrior Queen Laurie Strode literally dragging him down the stairs and burning alive with him. She like puts him in a chokehold and is like, "We're gonna burn to death together because I'm going to watch the life
Welcome to
leave
hell,
your
Mikey."
flickering eyes." Yeah, you're locked in here with me, and I'm gonna watch the life leave your eyes.
This cage isn't designed to keep you from getting out. No. Damn it. Never mind. Cut that. It was like that.
This cage is designed to keep you in here with me.
It was one of those like where they're like, maybe these walls weren't designed to keep us out. It was to keep them from getting out. Kind of dumb moment.
Yes,
It's not a cage. It's a trap.
exactly. Yes, and also I'm in here with you, burning you alive.
Yeah. God, I love Judy Greer crying.
But that is a quibble. I was honestly like, I was so excited and hoping they would do that. I was a little tiny bit disappointed walking out of the theater, but I like the movie quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Although I will say some of the people I know that were fans of the older movies and whatever were like really coming after me hard over text messages when I was like, it's obviously the best Halloween sequel. And they were like, H2O. And I was like,
H2O
"No,
is
thank you.
passable at best.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine.
But it's not, I thought this was way better than any other sequel before.
Oh, for sure.
So
Apparently,
yeah.
Danielle Harris really wanted to play Judy Greer's character.
that doesn't surprise me, but it's like too convoluted. The people wouldn't be able to separate you from
She
the other
was
thing.
like, well, she already has a daughter. She was like, they're saying that she has a daughter and it's not Jamie. And I was like, yeah, because you don't exist anymore. Like, if you wanted like Danielle Harris as like a neighbor that waves to them.
No, I don't. You got to keep all those pieces out of it, or else people are going to be like putting weird loopy string theories like a lunatic on a corkboard out there. You can't. You can't.
I wanted the. Her name is Kyle, and she's a Real Housewife of Beverly Hills, and she played Lindsay in the first one.
Okay.
And apparently, she was like expressed interest in coming back in some way, because she was like, "I'll be a neighbor. Like I haven't left the neighborhood, and just like a thing." And they were like, "No thanks." And she was like,
just. Yeah, exactly. I think that's the exact appropriate response. No,
Why?
thank you. We do not want.
It's
Because you Real Housewived yourselves, and now you've made choices that will impact your life, and you chose to be a Real Housewife, and the impact is you don't get to be in the Halloween sequel.
her sister was in Escape to Witch Mountain and is like a recovering drug addict and alcoholic, and like thinks she's the famous one. And it's like, you were in Escape to Witch Mountain. She was in Halloween.
I mean, the lead in Escape to Witch Mountain is probably more famous than the one friend who makes it in Halloween, probably.
What do you mean probably make? Lindsay survives Halloween.
No, I'm saying probably the Escape to Witch Mountain lead actress is more famous.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you the plot to Escape to Witch Mountain. I could tell you the plot to Halloween.
They remade Escape to Witch Mountain, so somebody remembers.
They remade Halloween twice.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, I believe,
With
got in
Anna
that
Sophia
remake.
Robb. And I think Josh Hutcherson.
Yeah, I think that's right.
They remade Halloween twice.
Well, they remade Escape to Witch Mountain twice.
Do they really?
Yeah, 95 and
I
2009.
thought you were just being a dick.
I might be thinking of this 1995 made-for-TV movie because I don't know why I would have seen Escape from Witch Mountain in 1975 version, but whatever. In any case, we should stop talking because we've gone for like an hour on this movie.
I could go on too.
We both recommend seeing this.
Yeah.
It's worth your time. Happy Halloween, everybody. I hope there's lots of good candy and nobody eggs your house. Our next episode will be on Rocky 3. I'm very excited for that one. It's already in the can. It was a really fun recording. You will hear that on November 5th. So I have been Trip Lano.
I will always be Andrew Leno.
And until then,
don't you forget about me.
Michael!
Dissecting the 80s is a Chum Some of This production.